Let's keep talking about Kubernetes. All right, hi, I'm Shane Gearon, and I'm a senior developer on the product operations and delivery team at Hootsuite. And I'm going to talk to you about our implementation of moving Jenkins onto Kubernetes and how we went through that process. So what is Jenkins Kubernetes? Jenkins Kubernetes is basically a plugin that was created back in 2014 that allows you to have Jenkins spin up agents dynamically in a Docker Kubernetes environment. So at Hootsuite, historically, we've run Jenkins on in-house VM clusters, we've run stuff on EC2, and we've even run it in Mesos, which is another container scheduling system. And we kind of wanted to reduce all of these different solutions into a single one. So we'd recently also moved our production applications that we're running on Mesos into Kubernetes. And so we were keen to be able to shut down that Mesos cluster so we didn't have to have two different things doing a similar thing at the same time. So great, we already have Kubernetes. Let's just put Jenkins on it, right? But do we put it on the production cluster? What if it needs to talk to the staging cluster for maybe integration tests, something like that? We could set up rules to allow it to do all these things, but that was a bit scary. So we went with the build Kubernetes cluster. So that way we could have a separate cluster that's able to talk to dev, staging, and production for testing and deployments. Whether you decide to manage your own cluster, whether you're using a managed service, or whether you're just using a service that another team's already got up there, you're already adding some complexity that wasn't there before. You've got to make sure that you're monitoring it and you're not doing something crazy like bringing up 100 agents or shutting down production apps by accident. Jenkins doesn't know it's on Kubernetes, it's just a Java app, so things aren't always going to run super smoothly with that. So if Jenkins doesn't know what's going on in Kubernetes, something as simple as me misspelling a container name in my pod template can have Jenkins just waiting for an offline agent that's never going to show up. And Jenkins will just send the command to run my pod as part of my pipeline. And then if it doesn't work, it'll just keep retrying 100 times because it's going to work, right? Sometimes Jenkins can be optimistic about shutting down pods too, or it can lose track of them. So you'll end up with a pod that's still running in Kubernetes, but Jenkins is like, no, I shut that down. I don't need to do anything. All good. But let's talk about some of the advantages. Like, there's got to be a good side, right? One of the things is you're able to tailor a pod template, and here's an example here with a Maven container and a Golang container, to a specific pipeline and actually have that in your pipeline, like in your Jenkins file as part of your code. And what that allows you to do is specify exactly what your pipeline needs. So we used to have this is an example where we used to use 5 full VMs, 4 cores, 16 gig of RAM, with 4 executors on each to run our main build pipeline. And then we made a custom pod template that has exactly what that pipeline needs, and we're able to reduce the computer memory significantly because we didn't need all that extra stuff. Unfortunately, bringing up an entire pod for every build job has an overhead. So depending on whether you've got your images cached already or how much Jenkins is working on, it can take a little bit of time to bring it up. We've only migrated a few of our pipelines over onto Jenkins Kubernetes so far. We're already seeing greater control over the environment which the builds are run in, as well as some savings in memory and CPU as well. But it's not without problems. We've had issues with persistent volumes not mounting, auto-scheduling causing Jenkins master to move to another node and shutting everything down on us, as well as build pipelines bringing up way too many agents and flooding our Kubernetes cluster. So should you run Jenkins on Kubernetes? Do you have the skills and time to maintain a Kubernetes cluster? Do the people using your pipelines know how to debug something if a pod doesn't come up and use kubectl and that kind of thing? And are your builds and resources time critical? Is having a custom template per build going to be better than the overhead of bringing it up? So if you answered yes to any of that, I definitely encourage you to give it a try and have a look. And if you have any other questions, that's me on Twitter. Hootsuite's hiring, and if you like the images, there's my webcomic, and I have stickers on me, so come find me. Thanks.